Hi, Rick. Thanks for jumping on the ranking stream, man. How are you doing this morning?
Hey, Michael. Thanks for having me, man. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's right now it's 8 a.m. in Austin, Texas, where I'm based. So it's we're bright and early in the morning at this point. So I have my coffee with me on the side. I know you're in a different part of the world. Can you tell the folks like what part of the world you're in and what time is it in your neck of the woods?
It's 3 p.m. here in the afternoon. I'm in the
Okay.
Netherlands in a small town close to Amsterdam.
Right on. Okay, 3 p.m. in the Netherlands. So, I mean, you're a little ahead of us. So, we need to match your intensity at this point. So, if we're a little lagging, you need to tell me, hey, Mike, you need to amp this up a little bit because I really want to
No
take this to
problem.
the next level.
No problem.
All right, man. Well, hey, just to set the stage a little bit, just want to welcome everyone to the ranking stream. The ranking stream interviews experts, SEO tool builders, anyone who's helping, anywhere between novice SEOs to experts, work effectively, work efficiently, get their SEO work done, manage it effectively. So we have Rick on today just for that. Rick is the founder of SiteGuru.co. It's a .co. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. I want to make sure
I
I had
guess
that.
the .com was already taken when I registered it.
Oh man, no, I get that. I get that as well. I mean, it's often difficult too to really like. It's frustrating whenever you see somebody using your .com who's like the site hasn't been updated. It's just been sitting
Yeah,
around. It's
yeah.
and so I
I think
guess you
most
can
people are
contact.
now okay with different domain extensions as well. So
Exactly. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I certainly think so. I mean, you could always go through GoDaddy's kind of auction system to try to contact them to see what they want. But it's a delicate balance there because I guess if they have the perception that you're like a big brand, they're probably going to want to beef the price a little bit more
yeah,
instead of giving you a fair deal. So that's kind of like a delicate balance. I think eventually maybe we may go after the .com, but I'm like, well, we have to do it in a point where like we're not too big, where they could give us like some type of value or some type of deal for it.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
if you're a
yeah.
Moz.com or something, if you're a Moz or
You don't have
you're
to pay.
SEMrush, yeah, exactly, man. Well, Rick, can you give us a little bit more information about your background and then how you actually started SiteGuru?
Yeah, sure. So I have a bit of a mixed background. I've started my career as a consultant, working for big consultancy companies, and then I moved into web development, which was always like kind of a hobby of mine, doing side projects after work hours. And then slowly I started to focus more and more on SEO because I always thought it was an interesting channel and like a cheap and effective way to get a lot of extra traffic, especially with my side projects where I didn't have big advertising budgets. SEO was basically the only thing I could rely on to get a lot of traffic to my site. So that's always been interesting to me. Started working at an internet agency. Um, Slowly grew into like a project management role, but also focusing on SEO. And at that point, I realized that whenever we launched a new project, there was always this issue of SEO not being like 100% perfect. There was always this little thing. People forgot to update their meta descriptions. There was still no index on a certain page. You know the drill. And I wanted to make sure that whenever we launched a new site, it would be perfect, at least from an SEO standpoint. That's when I decided to start building what's grown into SiteGuru. Started off as a really simple tool to check your page, and I just really loved building it. And it slowly grew into something a lot bigger. And I think I'm working on it for about 6 years by now. And the last 2 years I've been doing it full time. So as it's grown, it's gotten more and more customers, more and more happy users. And by now, yeah, I was able to quit my job and fully focus on SiteGuru, and that's been really great.
Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thanks. Yeah.
And yeah, and I also appreciate the fact that, I mean, you said you came from a development background, and I'd imagine that you were tasked with the SEO items, and it was kind of like a repetitive process where it's like most of the time you would have some things you had to just check off the box to make sure that they were installed on a new website. And of course, there's a little bit of customization. Every website's kind of, differently, but I'd imagine, well, one thing I would say is like the thing that I love about that story is that typically developers don't get like if you're actually doing the work, they don't really think about how to like optimize the process more than it is just like knock it out, get it done. They rely on like the PMs or the account managers to kind of, you know, tee that stuff up for them inside of like Excel. And they're not even worried too much about the process or like improving it, let alone seeing the opportunity for a product coming out of that. So props to you for that. I don't know a lot of developers who think that way. So the fact that you were just kind of that forward thinking, saw the opportunity and jumped on it, like, well done, sir.
Thanks. Yeah, I've always been somewhere in the middle of like a technical developer guy, and at the same time, a bit of a marketing approach.
Yes.
And I think there's this sweet spot in the middle where you can, well, and that's where SEO fits perfectly. Because you need some technical skills. You need to understand how the internet works, how a website works, and what a browser does, and how Google crawls your website. But at the same time, you need to think about, okay, how can I make this content engaging for my users? How can I make sure that people actually start buying my stuff when they end up on my website? So you need to have like a very broad skill set. And I don't think I know a lot about all those things, but I do know my way around the technical stuff and a bit of the marketing stuff. And combining that's always been like a passion of mine.
Right, absolutely. And when running the product, when you decided to go like all in with it, what were some of the challenges between going from working like in an agency or like kind of in-house to operating on your own and being able to like run this product? Like what were kind of the differences you saw between like a full-time versus I'm going out there and this is kind of like the Wild West?
Yeah, it's of course it's scary to basically jump in the water and go full time on it, because well you have your job, you have your colleagues, you know how that goes, and then you need to fully focus on building the product. I think my main concern at the time was, am I going to be able to keep this interesting for myself? Because I know I love talking to my colleagues, working with other people on the same project,
Yeah.
and I've always felt like, okay, if I'm going to lose that, am I just going to be very lonely building this tool, which is what I love, but how's the loneliness going to affect me? So that's been one of my major concerns when I started. And to be honest, I was positively surprised by how it went. And I think part of that is because when I was working from home during COVID, still working for the agency, I already realized that I could really motivate myself. And although I love working with colleagues and meeting them at the coffee machine, I also have other ways of getting that social interaction. So then I felt confident. Okay, I can make this jump and I can just go all in and doing it for myself. There's one thing I should add to that. I still take on some client projects sometimes, like 4 or 8 hours a week max, because it's just really fun to, well, basically keep up with the latest SEO stuff, meet new people, see how they use SEO, what it can do for them, and at the same time using my own tool to help them do their work better. That's also given me a lot of inspiration to continue building SiteGuru. Example is I started working with a company, and they had created a lot of new content, and after 3 months they asked me, hey, we've created all this content, can you tell me what the effect is? What's happened? Is it showing up? Are we getting clicks? And then I thought, well, I should really have a report for this. And then next week I launched the new content report. So it's given me a lot of inspiration to continue building the product as well. So it's good, I think, for most new founders, just go out there and make sure you still meet new people and work with other people.
Couldn't agree more. And I love how you're still in it. Like you're still talking to the folks who are the users or the people who could actually help benefit the product's growth or addition of new features. I mean, if the client is asking for a feature, it makes the case. And I mean, when it comes to features, it takes investments as well. So it can help justify the investment for what the client is actually asking for, because there's a need there, and there's a need that needs to be solved, rather than just building blindly, of not having any type of direction, of just thinking, oh, this feature would be cool, but not really useful because no one's really asked for it. I think that's a delicate balance that tool builders, including myself, like we kind of, we think about a lot. And it's tempting to be like, man, this feature would be cool, but like no one's asking for it. So we shouldn't invest our time and resources for that. So just like move on, constantly contact your customers and get an idea of what they're looking for first.
Yeah, very true. And in this case, I'm basically my own customer because I'm working
Right.
as an SEO consultant, and then I run into issues where my own tool could help. So then that combination makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. I had a question. It was kind of, you mentioned, you were talking about the product and you mentioned like the part about being self-motivated. When you run your, company, how do you stay self-motivated? Do you do other things? Are you involved in like sports, or do you have other things that kind of help build that discipline that you transfer over to your business? Or is it just kind of, you've been programmed that way since you were younger? Where do you get that from?
I don't know. I think I just really love what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
I've always been motivated when I was working for the agency or in previous jobs. I've never hated my job, but I was always kind of looking forward to the weekend. And now it's the other way around. I'm really looking forward to Monday morning and start cracking at
That's
it
amazing.
again. So yeah, I don't really have many problems to motivate myself, just because I really love what I'm doing. I do a lot of running, and I often go out for a walk because I don't want to sit for 10 hours behind my computer, because that's not healthy, I think. So I do take my breaks, and I do go for walks and runs. That really helps to stay motivated and to get some distance as well, and get some time to think about where you want to bring the product. But yeah, the motivation comes kind of automatically.
That's amazing, man. I love that. When you're doing something that you really love to do, obviously that just changes the mindset whenever you start to see things. I mean, not only in the building process, but like starting to gain traction and feedback from customers. It's cool that your idea is somehow like, has value to other folks as well, other than yourself. You said you're the
Yeah,
customer, but it's cool to see other customers see the same value that you do. I think that's really exciting as well. So when you started off, you kicked it off, obviously you have a development background, and you had to make a level of investment, whether it be time and money, into the development of the initial product. Like, I would say not necessarily MVP, but maybe let's start there. Did you do a lot of the development yourself, or did you bootstrap, or did you take on early investment? How did you kind of start off the product to where it's like able to gain traction during those early stages?
that's fully bootstrapped, and I basically did all the development work myself, and I still do. It's just me building the product, and then I have some people helping me with content and social, and people who, like coaches who help me find new ways of engaging with people and improving the product. But development all sits with me. When I started, it was really, it didn't feel like an investment. I was always building stuff as a side project. It was just a hobby, and in a way, it still is. So that's why it's so easy to stay motivated, because it's just doing what I love. And when I started, I just started building a really small tool that would check your page, like a single page, and it would give you the results directly. Uh, and I think the first thing I did was just install like a screen recording tool on it, so you could see what people were doing within the tool. And I spent like $10 a day on a Google Ads campaign for SEO audit tool. And what happened is that I would get like 10 screen recordings every day of
Nice.
people using that tool, and it would give me great feedback about what people were clicking, how are they using it. And then it for me, it was like this confirmation that there's people who want this type of product. And then I just started building, and the challenge with building an SEO tool is that after a while you sit on so much data. For every website, we have basically all the access to all the Google Analytics data, to the Search Console data, and to the on-page data of that website. And there's just so much magic you can do with that. And now it's more a matter of combining all those data points and turning it into something actionable. That's the real challenge now. But like I said, for 5 years, I've been building, over 4 years maybe, I've been building without too much traction, but it was just fun, and I just kept going until all of a sudden it took off.
It's amazing, man. Was your vision ever to like keep the product or have the product like self-service, or did you want to engage in some of the work? I'd imagine clients, if they get on the platform, they'll scan their website, then they get the list of recommendations. they hire you to do it, or do you have like an agency that you start up on the side, or do you just like not want to deal with that? Like what was your approach for like how they actually are doing the work, or do you not have any involvement in that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do get a lot of support questions, of course. So then sometimes I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should connect these people with developers that can help them. But for now, it's just I'm not involved in it at all. I'm always happy to help people out if they don't understand something in the report, or if they want to make some tweaks to the site. But I'm not planning to sell SEO services or connect people to agencies. That's not something I aim to do at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the biggest things for me in terms of developing the tool for me was just like staying out of like agency work.
Yeah.
I mean, I did agency work for so long. My first job out of college was doing link building in a dark room for an agency, and I'm just like, they just put a bad taste in my mouth from the jump. And after that, I was in agency world / in-house for like 12 or so years. And so I feel like I put my time in. I want to try to automate as much as possible and just not worry about service, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So that's my perspective. But agency services could be difficult. I mean, there is an entire process. You have to deal with clients. You have to deal with billing. And it's not to say it's impossible. I think there's a lot of value there, especially with tools like yours who could help streamline the process for agency owners to help them, make sure that things don't fall through the cracks. Because the key there is like, if you don't have a well-defined process in the agency world, you're going to have a really tough time keeping clients happy, getting results, and acquiring new clients. So without a tool like this, like yours, it's really difficult for folks to really just keep track of all of those things unless you have a big team of folks of handling that for you, meaning billing. You have somebody who's an account manager, you have somebody actually doing the work, and then you have somebody actually doing the strategy. And sure, there's some overlap, but that's still a lot of work that needs to be done for one single client. So yeah. I mean, there's good margins. There's a lot of ways to make money when it comes to agencies. That's why I still take on clients as well in terms of taking care of the SEO, obviously not just for the cash, but like for interesting clients that I really like working with. So I think there's like a fair balance. So I'm with you on that, taking on a few clients, the ones that I find that are interesting, and still kind of focusing majority of the time on the product to, scale that knowledge out.
Exactly. Yeah. And let's face it, if you want to make a quick buck as an SEO, the agency route is the way to go. Building software takes a lot of time, and there's a massive chance that it will never take off. Whereas as an agency or an independent consultant, it's normally not too hard to find a cool job and make some money. So it's really an investment to build your own software, but a cool one, I think.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Well, Rick, I think you mentioned I would love to see the tool. I know the audience will love to see the tool as well. I think we have a demo kind of teed up. If you don't mind, we could jump into that.
Sure.
And you could definitely show me the ropes here.
Let me share my screen.
Yes, sir. I'll go ahead and tee that up. All right, there we go. Now we have it live on the screen.
Yeah, that's the report. So you can have many different websites in your account. For every client, you can have a new one. This is my personal overview of the projects that I'm running at the moment. You can add a website for which you have access to Search Console and Analytics. That will give you all the features. But if you just want to like scan a competitor website, that's also possible. Then we'll just take the audit part, and that normally also gives you interesting insights. So, for instance, this website, it's a wine web shop. It's a wine web shop I used to run together with my wife. We sold it 2 years back, but I still use it as like my guinea pig to see the report. And then you come to this report, and basically this is the overview of everything that's going on SEO-wise on this website. And I think the real benefit of SiteGuru versus more complex SEO tools is the to-do list. As you probably know, most of the SEO tools just give you lists and lists of endless issues, and you don't know where to start. That's always the biggest complaint I hear about SEO tools or SEO in general. Where the hell do I start? And we try to fix that by providing this SEO to-do list. So it gives you like the prioritized list of stuff that you should work on to optimize your page, optimize your website, and rank higher. And then scrolling down, this will give you some insights into how the page and the website is performing, how your top keywords are doing, and how your site's health is going over time. Some of the major changes recently, so any ranking changes, any pages that are being no indexed or meta descriptions that have changed. And then there's basically the whole site structure. So all the pages that we could scan. And then for every SEO to-do item, you can basically just drill down on it and get an explanation of what the issue is and how you should fix it. This is like a technical thingy, and we provide some guidance on how to fix that. But it also can take you to a more detailed report. For instance, if you go to the sitemap report, what we basically do is we scan all your sitemaps, we check if they've been linked to Search Console. Because we crawl the entire website, we also know, are there any specific sites missing from the sitemap? Are there any redirected URLs in the sitemap? So this can really help you to improve that sitemap and indexation. And it basically works like that. For every item in this to-do list, meta descriptions, click on it, and then you get the full overview of any meta description related issue. Same for page title, same for headings. I'll show some more reports in a bit, but this gives you an idea of what's wrong. For instance, here we have a missing meta description. You can see how that ends up in the SERP. And there's always this detailed page report where you can see any issues on this particular page.
Very nice.
So anything that we found is shown here. So you can either go for, okay, I want to fix my most important issues right now, or today I want to focus on those bloody meta descriptions and get them all fixed. And then you can use this report. And basically we have a couple of sections. This one is more about content. There's also a technical section that's more about sitemaps, structured data. We take some page speed data as well. So finding the most important improvements that you can do to improve your page speed. Href lengths for international SEO, all that. That all comes from like the audit. And the second interesting part, I think, is the insights part, which is basically a combination of your Google Analytics, your Google Search Console, and your on-page data. So what I've always heard from most people is that Search Console is quite intimidating if you're not an SEO expert. Yes. You don't really know where to start. You just see a lot of numbers. And what we try to do with this report is turn that into something more actionable. So it gives you like your top performing pages. It shows you where your traffic is coming from. But also here are some pages that used to get a lot of clicks from Google, and now we see a negative trend there. So hey, this might be a good page for you to start updating and put some fresh content in there. Keywords at risk. Competing pages is also really cool. You can see if there are 2 or more pages competing for the same keyword. And you can also see how much clicks they get, just to get an idea of, hey, maybe it could be something we could optimize, merge it into one page, or change some of the keywords. I think my personal favorite is the low-hanging fruit section. So this is just a dashboard, and if you click on it, it takes you to the detailed report. And it shows you, for this keyword, you are currently ranking on position 5.3. That's close to the top 3, but you're not there yet. And we know how much extra clicks you can get by reaching that top 3. So you should really try to, for this keyword, we found this page, and there's a couple of improvements you can do to get there. And then we have this checklist. So we see, okay, there's a keyword. The keyword that we're aiming for is in the title, it's in the meta description. You have internal links and the keywords in the URL, but hey, you forgot to put a heading in there with this keyword. And that's how you can basically start fixing or optimizing that specific page for that keyword. And that often helps to put you from page 1 into that top 3.
That's amazing, man. A question on just the analysis and in terms of like the size of a website. will the tool kind of operate for, like a small mom and pop to like a big e-commerce brand with like a few 100,000 URLs? How is the tool for any particular audience, or is it pretty much for websites of any size?
So the really big ones, like hundreds and thousands of URLs, that's really not for us. We've tested the tool for up to 10,000 URLs. That still works fine. Above that, what you often see is that the scan will take ages, and it's basically not worth it, because if you have 100,000 pages, 9 out of 10 times that's just 1 or 2 or 3 templates. And they all have the same issues. So we do have customers with bigger websites, but we just advise them to take on different sections of the website separately. You can always say, I want to scan this folder, or I want to exclude this folder, and that gives you some flexibility to set up the crawl like you want. And if I scan 100,000 pages, that I'm pretty sure the result is not going to, or the recommendations that we give you are not going to be that different from if we scan just 1,000 pages, because those issues will be present on all those URLs. So it's focus on smaller websites, but I still see a lot of clients using it on bigger websites and getting great results as well.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And I also love the low-hanging fruit section as well. I mean, essentially, it's like looking at the overall opportunity of the page. So correct me if I'm wrong, but is that report saying if those things on page items are improved, there's a potential upside of impressions by is that 25%? It's a little hazy on my side, but
no, that's just the data coming from Search Console. So I like what you I like your thinking. That's a good thing we're also thinking about to show you the potential. That's something I'll show later on. We have something that's very similar to that. In this case, it's just saying, okay, in the last 90 days, you got this keyword got this much impressions, and that's 15% up from the previous period.
Gotcha. That's amazing.
Similar to what you said, we have the click-through rate report, which is quite interesting, I think. It basically gets all your Search Console data, and it shows you the click-through rate graph for your top 10 positions. So that means if for your website, if a keyword ranks on the first position, you get an average CTR of 15.5%. So 15.5% of the people searching for that keyword will click on it. And then we take this data and we look for opportunities to see, are there any pages that or any keywords and page combinations that rank for a good position. So in this case, this particular keyword is on the second position in Google. And based on the CTR chart, we would expect a 12.2% CTR. But we're getting only a 3.9% CTR. And that's an indication that, okay, you may need to tweak your page title and meta description a bit, because the page is showing up, but you're not getting any clicks, or not as much as you would want to. And then there's this opportunity to directly see the search result, what it will probably look like if Google were to take the page title and meta description, which it doesn't always do, but still sometimes does. And that gives you an opportunity to see, okay, these are the pages where positions are good, click-throughs not so much. So what can I do to improve that a bit?
Brilliant. In terms of the Search Console integration, how long do you hold on to the data? Like, how long can a user expect to see Google's Search Console data, historical data, inside of your tool, inside of SiteGuru?
So we take within the tool, we have like a 90-day period, a 30-day period, and a 7-day period. Because the reports that we make, they're quite resource intensive. So we can't just use the Search Console API to get all the data while you're loading the report. We really need to get that data on a daily basis. So every day, for all those periods, we get all the data into the system. And as a result, when you open the report, it's really snappy and it's very quick. But I think Search Console itself has data for up to 15 months, last time I checked. But we focus on the last 3 months for now.
Gotcha. Which is extremely helpful. And if you look at some of this data, you're able to get some really good insights in terms of how keywords are ranking, which rankings kind of perform the best, which pages, have the highest potential of being, have the most upside for being optimized and gaining new potential traffic. So I love that. It's really easy. It seems like it's really easy to like visualize some of this data, whereas Search Console and I mean, some of the other tools out there, they're a little difficult to read a lot of this information, or you kind of have to parse the information together inside of your own Google Sheet or Excel, what have you. But getting the information, I feel like in an obvious way that's like you could visualize, not only makes sense to the person conducting and building the strategy, but to the client as well. I think the client has no idea a lot of the times what SEOs do. They know the importance of it and that they have to get more traffic from Google, but they're like, we don't know how, or we don't know where, we don't know why this person is doing these recommendations. But with the tool, it seems like lots of strategic moves could be justified based on the data.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think for a lot of people, SEO still is a lot like a black box. And it is. I mean, we don't know what Google is doing. We don't know why pages are ranking there. We just can make all these assumptions. And yeah, the goal has always been to really make it a lot easier to understand and to basically take people by the hand and even without having in-depth SEO knowledge, still be able to grow your organic traffic.
Absolutely. And I think like what really stands out about the tool is like there's a blend between data and like production. And I think there's not a lot of like tools out there who connect the dots between the two. And what I mean is that like there's a lot of like recommendations that SEMrush, Ahrefs or Ahrefs, recommends, or, not just picking on those tools, which I'm not, but like other tools as well. But it's like, once that work gets done, how do you know the impact of what actually worked, right? Like if you modify your canonical tags or if you fix that on your particular website, will that have an impact inside of your, on your website and in your rankings? It's kind of hard to really tell the difference between tools that just provide like competitive data and auditing information, and then performance data, Google Search Console, Google Analytics.
Yeah.
But the marriage between the two, I think, is a good harmony, because at least you could treat it like a scientific method where it's like you obviously have an hypothesis and you test that and then you iterate and then you kind of come to some conclusion of like what actually or potentially has the high propensity to be working on your website. And I think like the tool seems like a nice harmony between the two. Like you have the work, you have the recommendations, get this done, and then you're able to kind of see these results over the course of time here. So that's what really stood out to me, and why I think it's the tool super valuable.
Thanks. Yeah, that's always been the idea, and at the same time also not just providing people with a long list of to-dos, but really focus on where's your low-hanging fruit, what's the most important SEO fix. And that's also what we do when you sign up. The first 3 days, every day you get an email saying, here's what you should do to improve your SEO today, and not the 20 other tasks, not those 500 other meta descriptions, but these are your most important pages, and here's what you should do today. If you just take 5 minutes to do your SEO, really focus on simplicity.
Yeah, and I think that's why the tool space is so big for SEOs, because we want the we're not that we're lazy. Some of us are, but like for the most part, we just want the information. Just tell us what to do and we'll do it. So it's like, I think there's a lot of tools out there that just kind of offer these, I wouldn't say shortcuts, but like intelligent insights. So like, hey, here's what you have to do. Here are the keywords. Here are the other entities you have to include for the like other keyword research tools. Like people just want they just want the meat. They want to get rid of the fat. They just want like what works. What pages should I focus on? What should I do to those pages? And how can I like make money from them or have some type of upside by optimizing and generating more affiliates, or making my clients happy by generating more rankings and traffic? But SEOs, I find that they want the growth hacks. They want, for lack of a better term, they want just what works, and everything else they're just really interested in.
And for a good reason. I mean, you only have a limited amount of time in your day, and of course you could start fixing every possible issue on your website. But it's probably a lot better to just focus on the most important ones.
Couldn't agree more. And also to that point, like SEO is a time-sensitive matter. Like if you're working on the wrong tactics, you're not going to get any results months down the road. So if you're working on the wrong things, SEO kind of takes sometimes weeks or months to showcase, like for Google to update your rankings, like in the search results, depending on obviously how big your website is. If you have a stronger domain authority, obviously you're going to see changes faster than a small kind of mom and pop. But if you're working on the wrong tactics early on, chances are you're not going to see any growth months down the road. And that's the buffer between you doing something and you actually seeing results later on. So it's really important to work on the right things now, because that's basically, you're not going to see results until months or weeks down the road. So it's so important to work on the right things now, as you know, you're not going to see the changes happen tomorrow, but potentially weeks or if not months down the road.
Yeah, you don't want to figure out in 3 months that the page you finally got to rank doesn't really make any difference.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, this was great. I mean, do you have anything else or any favorite features that of yours? You know, you did show a lot, and as well as the low hanging fruit.
Yeah, there's a lot to show. This is what I focus on most.
I know it could be like another hour just showing one feature in here. I know it's pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
let's not do that. Okay, one thing I'm really happy with is that Google recently, it's been a couple months now, they have this page inspect API that we could also tap into, and it helps you get all the basically everything about your page's status within Google. So has it been indexed? If not, why not? What's the canonical URL? And that's been great for me as well, because this is, for instance, the new content report. So the one I mentioned earlier, I was working for this client, and they have all these new pages. Hey, tell me how it's doing, and this report helps you do that. These are a couple of new pages and new articles that we published last week, and this helps me keep track of. Well, first of all, is it indexed in Google? Well, in this case, yes, it is. In this case, no, it's not. And it tells me why. So there's still the wrong canonical that it's used. When was it last crawled by Google? And then combined with the performance data, like how many impressions is it getting, how many clicks, and what's its top keyword. And in this case, for instance, you see that the new article that we published last week on EE80, the new version of E80, is getting some traction. And that's cool to see, because it helps me to see, do I get the results with the content that I published? Is there something missing? Is there a technical issue preventing me from ranking? Is it not taking the rankings that I wanted to take? And then you can click on that and see all the details for that particular keyword. And here you see that it's taking off, right? It didn't exist, and at this point we created it. It got picked up by Google, and now we see it slowly getting better positions. And that's this. To me, that's a perfect combination between the different Google APIs out there, Google Search Console, Google Page Inspect, together with analytics, and then the on-page data to quickly see, okay, is there a technical issue? I think this is where that all comes together. And we're planning to add a lot of more features like this to bring you everything that you need in one screen.
That's amazing, man. I love that. Again, further just in, to hitting home the idea of like data and like intelligence and like action items as well. I love how you're kind of bringing that all together and not overwhelming. It doesn't feel like you're overwhelming the user with like so much data. It feels like the right amount for what you need to do, right, for improving the site. That's what I really, that's what I really see from this as well. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels digestible.
Yeah, that's always been the idea, and that's very tricky, of course, because there's always more interesting data to get and more issues to report on. But at the same time, you want to keep it very actionable, and that's why we always have this to-do list at the center of the application that tells you, okay, this is what you should focus on right now. Yeah, sure, there are people who want to get more details. Here's your detailed report. But for anyone who's not interested in all the details, they should still have this actionable to-do list of SEO tasks for them. And yeah, that's what I aim to do.
Amazing. Well, Rick, you've built a great product. I think there's a lot of value here that folks could, they could benefit from. I do have one more question for you. And this goes a little bit beyond the product, just kind of on your personal side and with growing the product. What advice would you give to other SEO, tool builders or anyone who's thinking about jumping into the SEO tool space?
Two things basically. One advice that I really didn't follow myself. Try to keep it simple. As you can see, there's many different pages and many different reports here, and to maintain everything and to make sure that everything works with all the thousands of edge cases that there are. That's quite challenging, especially if you're just a developer working by yourself. So if you can find something that makes it very specific and gives great value based on a single section of SEO, because SEO is very broad, I think that makes your life a lot easier. And secondly, something we basically you discussed earlier, it's hard to know if you've built something how people are using it, and there's always this temptation to just keep building stuff and add more features without knowing if people are using it and if people are getting value from it. And that's really something you should try to find out at the beginning. Make sure you have the right tools installed, analytics tools, or even just talking to your customers, which is the best, to make sure that whatever you're building makes sense and that you're on the right path, and you're not building something and you're wasting your time for something that people won't use.
Well said. Thank you for that, Rick. And also, if people want to get a hold of you or reach you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, you can always go to SiteGuru. There's this chat balloon. We're pretty much all the time we're there to support, and we're on Twitter and LinkedIn. It's SiteGuru Go, one word.
Amazing. Well, Rick, thank you again for jumping on the ranking stream. This was super valuable, and wish you all the continued success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.